Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Just Another G.I. Joe Show, episode number 43.
Boo, hiss, boo.
Yeah, I know, everyone. There's a lot of people who really are not very big fans of me, so I really don't care.
Oh, I think that's just your persecution complex showing through.
Anyways, guys, we're going to talk a little bit about Hasbro woes and the shenanigans from the club as of late. I've kind of voiced my
shenanigans.
Yeah, I kind of voiced my opinion a little bit on some social media platforms.
A little bit. I'm surprised you didn't get a ban hammer dropped on you.
Well, apparently I did get a ban hammer because I'm no longer allowed to comment on the official G.I. Joe Collectors Facebook page anymore.
Man, you're those people. You're those
harsh indictment.
That's because there are a bunch of little butthurt bitches, in my opinion.
Hey, I know there's a particular forum out there somewhere where you can go with the rest of the guys that have been banned from other places.
Oh,
I'm not going to say any.
Shish Tank.
Oh no, these are guys that didn't cut it at Shit Tank. I mean, his tank. See what you did? See what you did? You made me say something bad.
Just making enemies everywhere.
No. Let me walk that back just a little bit. You know, I'm friends with Fran, and I like a lot of the guys over there. I don't think it's any surprise to anyone that the overall fan perception of some of the people at his tank is not. Well, let's just call it just not good, because of the irrational griping and things like that take place over there. So do not let that color your opinion. There are good people over there, and it's run by a couple of people who really do care about G.I. Joe fandom. So let me say that in to preempt any response to my Freudian slip. Okay, go.
I guess we might have another person on here in a little bit, and when he jumps on, we'll talk about some other stuff. But for right now, we're going to talk about here as of late with the G.I. Joe Collectors Club, knowing that these are their final days before the end. That if you're on
the end,
that's right. And if you are if you're making payments on your final figure subscription service 8, they have basically they're treating us all as you're going to pay in advance before we ship you any figures, which, Rick, I know for a fact you pay everything up front in advance.
Nope.
Don't give me that shit.
Flex payment. It's I think it's coming out on the 22nd.
Yeah, it's 22nd.
It's Monday. That's all I was getting. Yeah. Okay.
I'm just regular people. I'm top shelf Rick, but I'm regular people.
A note about that. It was originally slated for the 18th, so they pushed it 4 days. So I don't know if that helps anybody, but it helped me.
Well, usually, if some people like to pay their payments all in advance, make it all one big payment, be done with it, don't worry about it.
Yeah, you save a few dollars. You save a few dollars. Yeah.
Exactly. Then there's people like me and Rick who we need to be on payments, for whatever reason it may be.
Look behind me. This is why.
And then you would think that it's more the point of, okay, here's a payment, here's 4 figures, here's another payment, here's another 4 figures. So here's a payment, and not shit to show for it. Now, a lot of people have said, oh, the club is trying to get this all taken care of for the end of the year, blah, blah, blah. No, that is not the case. When the Transformers Collectors Club was ending, the final figure subscription service, they ran that over into the following year at taking payments. So that was 16, so 17, they were still taking payments and giving us figures. Granted, they shipped us more figures out faster than they did normally. So basically, the club's going to collect all their money, and we're still not going to see a figure for damn near almost, a month and a half?
About 6 weeks.
Maybe.
More, yeah.
And maybe 2 months, depending on how slow the damn club it is to begin with.
I'm in the other side of the camp where this is my reality every single day that I collect. I order Hot Toys a year, sometimes a year and a half in advance. There's a Hulkbuster that took 2 years to come out because it got set back like three different times. So I'm used to like paying for something, the Jabba sail barge, there's tons I'm paying on like flex payments right now for that Ghostbusters car that Blitzway is making, and I'm going to be paying on that for 6 months. Well, I paid off my real car, and now I have a toy car payment. How awesome is that?
Well, I mean, to be fair to the club and present the other side of the discussion, similar to what you were saying, Rick. You know, the Kickstarter that we did, I mean, it's going to be over 2 years before we deliver. Yeah. Nobody wanted it to be that way, but you're literally, in supporting the project and agreeing that you want to potentially get items early as a reward, you're effectively pre-ordering stuff, 2 years, perhaps maybe a little more, out. I know that there are other 1/18 scale action figure Kickstarters that are on 3 years now and still haven't delivered. Now, that doesn't mean I don't think they're not going to. I think that they will, but it is certainly a longer than usual wait. I don't necessarily like that model being applied to the club in terms of what we can expect for timeliness and such, given the way things have run in the past. And I certainly didn't want it to be, as a fan and wanting these figures from FSS 8. There's some in there that I'm fairly excited about and stuff. So, but again, as Mike stated, and I'll take that back up. They did say that their contract run out at the end of the year and that they weren't going to be able to take any payments past that. And I don't know if they were allowed to extend that on the Transformer side of things, but it doesn't jive with what's happened before. So I can understand. I can understand some some of the harsh feelings. Yeah, animosity is a good word for it. That's come out of the situation.
And I will be the first one to say me as a consumer, I am extremely pissed because all these years we've been doing it this way. Now all of a sudden, because someone couldn't cut the mustard somewhere and keep the club afloat, that we're the ones who are basically being punished in a way. I mean, punished is maybe a kind of a crazy word to say, but it's more the point of, I don't agree with it. I don't have to agree with it if I don't want to, because first of all, it's my money to begin with that they're taking. Yeah. Now, granted, some of the rumors, I've said this before, either here or on social media, is that they are, at the end of this calendar year, all the office people will be let go. So that means Angie, Karen are gone. I know, what's his name? Mr. Funko School that no one liked. I can't remember his name. It's not even worth remembering his name.
I know who you're talking about, but I'm not going to say it out loud to confirm.
Oh, Dave Lang. Dave Lang. There we go. He was let go back in July. That's what he told me at JoeCon. That's when he was going to be released. So, I mean, some of these people have already been released. Some of them might still be working and be working up until the end of the year, and that's it. Understandably, it does suck. They're going to lose their job. Yeah. In some aspects, I feel like, and this is kind of even harsh for me to even say this, is that maybe they're just trying to get all the legwork done out of the way to where Brian and Becky don't have to do anything after the first of the year, except maybe slap some labels on some packages.
Well, that's all speculation, and we're not ever going to have a concrete answer to any of it. And it's certainly, and this has been one of the criticisms I've had of the clubs from the beginning, even in working with them to do the customizing class and stuff. And I hope it's understood that it is not intended to be harmful. It's just simply a statement of the situation. Communication from the club entity as a whole has been less than ideal, I think would be a good way to phrase it. And there are a multitude of reasons you can think of for that, but it has not fostered a collegial atmosphere in anything that has been done up to this point. Most of the time, when you look at public outcry against the club, it stems from a lack of clear communication or a bit of miscommunication at best. And I think that in retrospect, if you look at it, you can say, okay, this is why people were upset about this and why people were upset about that. And some of it is, some of the things are absolutely a bit of entitlement or a misconception, incorrect expectations. I think is another way to say it. But some of it squarely can go on the shoulders of lack of clear communication.
Yeah.
So again, I don't want to be a jerk about it. I really don't. I mean, this close to the end of things, it doesn't serve any purpose for anybody. But I can certainly understand the animus that's being directed outward right now and why.
Yeah.
So
to talk about what the toys one more time for myself, just another perspective. I'm in 2018. I would rather get these figures than not get them. So being late is such a small thing for me myself, because I'm going to be getting G.I. Joe toys when the company that owns the property. I mean, we're not getting anything. So
it's not just that we're not getting anything outside this venue. It's that they have no interest whatsoever in doing anything.
So I'm excited to get these toys. Like the last thing on my mind is like, oh, they're late, and I'm going to send like emails or go to social media and talk about it. It's unfortunate, but I'm just so used to it. Super 7 late. Hot Toys late. Everybody that I buy from, distribution for Black Series, awful. So to me, this is just part of the new world that we live. We don't live in that world that everybody was used to before. The transition has started, and now we're on that journey. We're on the new journey. The Kickstarters are a great point, though. I thought that the Kickstarters, that really is what I see being the new world.
Let me give you an anecdote that will help explain. And this isn't something that you're ever going to hear being talked about from any big company or corporation, because there are things at play outside of this particular framework. But one of the problems that was explained to me, and it's not intentional, but one of the problems that comes out of manufacturing in China, where this huge infrastructure is all set up and has been for 30 years, 35, 40 years, they know how to do this process like that, man. They got it. Part of the problem comes from their eagerness to maybe overpromise a little bit in terms of timelines and production schedules and capabilities, even sometimes.
Yeah.
And when that happens, and then you use that faulty information and pass it along to your public, it's happened to us in terms of our timelines. When you pass that along to the public takes it as rote, as being set in stone, and then something happens and you have another delay. Well, my choices are go forward with the product as it is with the problem existing, or take the time to fix it so you get a better end product. In either case, you're going to be mad because it's late.
Right.
And that's not the reason for everything that happens, but that is just one more factor.
That's a good perspective
that the collecting public doesn't know.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah,
that's good.
Well, I don't know that you can say any one factor is a complete answer, but
that's good insight though from your experience. That's always good to hear.
There's so many mitigating circumstances, and you can name them off over and over and over, and this reason and this reason and this reason, until the point you sound like a lawyer in court trying to explain away a case.
Defend the process.
Yeah, and it's like I said, it's an unfortunate byproduct of the situation. I have had a couple of people, and it's just a few, a very small, I'm less than this many, in our Kickstarter, who just do not get it, and I actually had to voice someone off of the Facebook page this last week because of it. I warned them again and again, privately and publicly. Listen, man, when it came down to it, the last statement I made before I made the decision to excise him from the group. Now, that doesn't mean he can't go on the page and get updated. It's all public. He's just not allowed to participate in the conversation anymore. He has to go to the kids' table. That's what it is. I explained to him, I said, we can either deliver these now and they're wrong, and they're going to be wrong when we go into Series 2 and use some of the same tooling, Series 3, some of the same tooling. All these things will still be wrong, or we can stop and fix it now so you get the product you're expecting to get. And when it arrives and you get it in, I promise it's going to be so nice that you forget about the wait. Yeah. It's just getting past that point and getting past that point of view. So I tried to explain that to this particular person, and unfortunately he didn't seem at all receptive. So I had to make a decision. And for the betterment of everyone on that page, the other 2,000 people on the page and in the community, you know, he had to go. And I didn't feel good about doing it. I promise you that. I don't like turning away people and giving them a bone to pick with me later. But
that's what the club did to me. They kicked me out of the group.
Well,
you can't comment no more.
Welcome to the kids table.
Table. Where's my Jello at? Damn it! They weren't
right next to your hot chocolate there, little boo boo,
with the marshmallows.
Right.
Hey, as long as I got the marshmallows, it's all right.
Well, speaking about FSS8, we've covered the builds and stuff and talked about the figure designs and all that. I wanted to say that with regards to the figures, and we won't know until they start coming in. I wanted to say that with regards to the figures, I hope that they are everything that has been promised with regards to, final builds, colors, things like that. There was a lot of negative reaction due to the miscommunication and some of the mistakes in FSS 7. They certainly weren't intentional. I mean, you heard Barbie come on and talk about them very frankly, which was refreshing to get a direct answer and somebody say, my bad, mea culpa. This is my mistake, and I'm sorry you guys are paying the price for it. I certainly hope that doesn't affect these 13 figures and the final 12, which we're buying sight unseen, to be honest. Are we even going to see the digital mock-ups they use for presentation at the con before then? I don't know. I'm willing to gamble because I want the figures.
I think we might, because showing that Zartan and seeing all those pictures that just came out, that made me feel pretty good about, and knowing that it's mid-November, I honestly thought they were just going to go up whatever the worst day possible was for me. They would just go up
2 days before Thanksgiving. Yeah.
And they still might, but at least I know it's happening.
Yeah. So. Well, that's one thing, and I'm sure Mike will commiserate with me on this. That's one thing that has always really bothered me about the club's timing. And if you spoke to anybody at the convention over the years, you know that they kind of felt the same way. Okay, you want to play close to the vest and you don't want to tell people what we're getting as extras and add-ons and things like that. All right, that's fine. Just tell us budget X dollars. We're going to have a 2-pack that's going to run about this. We're going to have a 3-pack that's going to run about this. And I'm not saying exactly to the dollar and penny. Their answer to that was to say, bring what you brought last year and a little more. Well, how much is a little more? Is that another $150? Is that another $300? Because your definition of a little and my definition of a little, depending on our personal budgets, are very, very different. For me, a little's $20, not $100.
It's funny you should mention that, because there was one year, it was either 15, 16, somewhere along the lines, that they told us exactly, this is how much money you need to have for every 3 3/4 scale figure or accessories. And they were right on the money on it, which helped out tremendously.
Yeah.
But then, like you said, we asked again, just be sure to bring a little bit of extra. Well, like you're exactly right. A little bit extra, okay, $50, $60. What was it this year? Over $100?
Yeah. And that's one thing that I don't know was ever explicitly clear. So many people that are in this hobby, I would say the majority of people that are in this hobby are doing it, if not on a shoestring, on a finite budget. Yep. And you need those numbers to work with to make sure that you can fit everything in, that you're not literally spending, not that I would ever do this, but you're not spending your electric bill to buy figures just so you can get them at retail instead of having to go back and buy them on eBay for 100% markup later to add to your collection, because you really do want them. That's a discussion I've had with Christy several times. And I finally made her understand the very obtuse logic of the situation. I can go over here and instead of going to dinner, I'll spend the last, going out to get a sandwich, I'll spend the last $9 I've got to buy this figure and worry about coming up with some more cash tomorrow. Or I can skip it, it sells out, and then I have to go pay $35 for it on eBay. because it's something I want to add to my collection. I'm determined to add to my collection, and I'm going to buy it regardless of the price.
Has anyone asked them about the final 12? Maybe now is the time to ask them to put up, let's say in 2 weeks, put up the chart so we have it at least 2 weeks. At least a week. I like it at least 2 weeks ahead of when it's going on sale.
Yeah, I agree.
Dollar amount?
We should, we should find out what all the, aren't they all, there's like a 3-pack, there's the Zartan bike thing.
Yeah, 3-pack,
and then a bunch of 2-packs.
and then all 2-packs on the red. Yeah, everything, so, if you remember seeing pictures at the convention.
Yeah.
During that presentation at the convention, they said that everything that you see will be 2-packs. It'll be this figure and that figure, this figure, that figure.
So they should be able to tell us at this point what the prices are actually.
Well, the only thing that's going to affect that is the overall production run, and they won't know the final numbers on that. Orders are closed. Now you can get in the ballpark, certainly.
Yeah.
You know, but their willingness to do that is probably going to be the same that it has always been, and that's
right until the day of.
Well, my understanding was that these 2-packs were going to be in December.
That was the original plan. I'm guessing they're not going to do. I mean, you know, it's typical factory delays from China. You know, things get thrown off schedule, or there are revisions that you weren't planning on that throw things off by 5 weeks. You know, as we move toward the end of the year, something that everybody needs to remember is that, you know, every factory in China is going to close down for at least 2 weeks in February.
Yeah.
And their main production schedule, in terms of where they schedule the heaviest amount of activity, is through the late summer, fall, early winter for us, because that's when everybody's ramping up and getting things ready to go. And they spent the whole spring finalizing decos, getting packages done, blah, 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 blah. So the production season happens in the later part of the year in anticipation of the factories closing for 2 weeks, and then they come back. What you don't want to be in terms of quality and QC and timing, you don't want to be that last project that they do in January. You don't. You know, if that production slot were offered us today, I'd turn it down. Yeah. I mean, you don't want. That's where you see QC problems that just don't get fixed.
Oh, it must be when they did the box set this year around that time.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. I mean, I don't have any insight on that, and obviously we're not going to get any. I know, but your quip may be what happened. Who knows? Go ahead.
As far as the other stuff, the pre-orders, somewhere along the lines, they said mid-November all pre-orders are going to go up. Mm-hmm. So there's been a lot of speculation on pricing. The Zartan.
I think are you about to talk about individual pricing on the items, Mike?
Well, people were talking about, like one guy I know, we all know Jim. He's sitting there saying, well, I'm just going to wait until the club does their clearance sale next year.
Yeah, good luck.
And I'll get it then.
I'm not going to get
this issue here is that this here is going to be a low run regardless.
I would say you can guarantee that the club is going to run what's ordered plus a small certain percentage for swap outs and fixes, if they even do that this time. There were lots of problems with the heart wrencher that I heard. I mean, I heard of some people overseas getting shipped a Mindbender or a Big Lob instead of a heart wrencher because they didn't have enough figures to go with vehicles, and getting a note, too bad, so sad, here you go. You know, I don't recall who I had that conversation with, but I believe that the person was telling me the truth. Now, whether it happened exactly that way because it's third-hand, fourth-hand information, I don't know.
I would lose my shit.
I would too. I would be furious. I would be furious because the reason I buy vehicles from the club or from Hasbro is to get the figure. Most of the time, the vehicles are cool and I like them, but I don't have space to display all that stuff. You know, it goes in a tub or a box, or you know. So yeah, I would be furious if that had actually happened, and if it did, wow,
yeah.
That's bad.
Yeah. Now, well, this now. That is not really far-fetched to not believe. Rick can probably justify remembering this. Back in 2008, BotCon, they oversold the box sets. Mm. So, and this was a very popular set, which was the Shattered Glass Universe. So when they ran out of box sets,
Shattered Glass is garbage.
It's the best thing next to sliced bread. When they ran out of these sets, they supposedly were giving them the BotCon 2005 box sets in its place.
I remember hearing about that. The 2005 box set. That was the first one for the club, wasn't it?
I feel like I do remember that slightly.
Yeah, I remember hearing something about that.
I would have lost my shit then. I would lose my shit regardless. I would lose my shit any way you look at it.
Yeah, I can't imagine.
Mike, you lose your shit when your beer didn't go in the right way first thing in the morning.
It's got to be all crazy.
What I was going to say about pricing for the club exclusives coming up, not to sidetrack from your discussion about the box set, because like I said, I remember something of that nature happening. I would look at what they charged for similar products during the convention this year and plan on about that dollar amount. It may be slightly more, but
I truly think the 2-packs is going to be a final 12.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're going to be paying somewhere along the lines of what you would have paid for the full FSS.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's not going to be less than that.
It's like 300 some odd whatever dollars.
Yeah, it's about what, 440 with shipping and everything.
And let's say, who's not to say that they're not going to jack it up a little bit? The motorcycle and the Zartan, I think, is going to be around the same price point as the Heart Wrencher, if not a little bit more.
I'm going to say, and this is my guess, I don't know anything inside information, but this is my guess. I'm going to say the motorcycle is going to be $89. The figures are going to be about $75 for the 3-pack. And then the individual boxes are going to be $45 a piece for each 2-pack. That's a guess, but that's based on their trending.
So basically, folks, just say goodbye to Christmas. Tell your family it's just cold and switches this year.
You know what you tell them is that Santa Claus don't exist. Screw it. So, fuck it. It's time for me.
Or at least you hope that, knock on wood, you've got a credit card with a little space on it, so you can deal with it.
Yeah, there are a lot of people have that.
Well, I know it's really easy to come across in these conversations like it's just one club bash after another club bash after another club bash. And I don't want to seem at all ungrateful for all the stuff that they've done over the years that has been good or been a hit. I mean, I think I pointed it out the last time we were on here talking about post-con stuff. They did 30 figures for the concept this year. If you add on all the extras and add on stuff, that is a tremendous workload. And not just that. That's a tremendous accomplishment, and that's in a year when they're delivering 2 FSSs and the final 12 and all that. I mean,
it's a lot of product for real.
Yeah, it is. It's a huge amount of product.
If you're putting the figures on the shelves, Mike, I know you do, and I've done it. When you look at the shelf after you come back from a convention, it's amazing. Like it's the whole story. Like it's battle in a box is what I call it. I mean, you've got so much product.
You're so poochy it hurts.
It's funny you should mention how many figures there were. If I remember correctly, BotCon 2015, I think we had somewhere along the lines of 20-something figures, different characters, even though they weren't big or small or medium, but some of them were like the little Micromasters or whatever, They had different. So I think once you add up all those figures, there was a lot that in 2015. There was a lot. I really enjoyed that year's set. Now, you said $45 for a 2-pack. That don't sound right. Usually, a figure of this quality from the club, you're looking at $45 per figure.
Oh, that's that. I just misspoke there. I meant about $40 per figure, $45 per figure.
Okay, so let's say 45 at the high end. So we're saying
$90 a 2-pack.
Yes, they're saying $540 just for the 12 figures.
Yeah.
And you said probably $89 for the bike, plus another $75
for the 3-pack. Yeah.
$704.
Yeah, over $600. Yeah. It's what'd you say, $704?
$704.
Yeah, I think by the time you factor in shipping and taxes and all that, that's probably about right. I don't like it because that means I've got to come up with that amount of money.
Well, the good thing is this model. I'm hoping this is the last time that we'll ever have to deal with this particular model of business. And I love the product. I love the product that they have. But with Super 7, everything's made to order, and they give you at least a month, sometimes 5 weeks. You get 4 to 5 weeks to come up with whatever money you want to spend.
Yeah,
and
their
then
their order period
made
is
to order.
much broader.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, a Kickstarter. Most of the time, you get at least a month. I mean, most people.
We ran ours for 45. We ran ours for the full 45 days because we knew there were going to be budgetary constraints.
Yeah.
I mean, we were in a unique position because we had people overlapping on the outside 2 weeks and on the end 2 weeks too. So, you know,
and then, like I talked about, Sideshow or Hot Toys and stuff, they got payment plans, and you know. So this is kind of like the dinosaur of this business model. They don't even accept American Express, which I've always thought is just insane. But that I understand.
Or PayPal.
Or PayPal. Like this is the end of the dinosaur. Great product, and I know it's not that I don't bash them sometimes, but their products are great. My collection is better because of this group of people, right? I just don't agree with the business model, and that's okay. I don't need to agree with it, but I will say the product that they've given me is a great product.
I was just going to say, from my point of view, business sense, whatever, if it was up to me, I wouldn't take anything but PayPal. Because if you have a business account, that's 2.7%. That beats every credit card processor that I know of. And you don't have to have a PayPal account to process a credit card through PayPal. You know what? Yeah, PayPal's a bunch of bandits and stuff. They are. They absolutely. But on the flip side of that, it also is incredibly easy to use and set up.
Yeah.
And it's a static. It's a static cost. You know.
Here was
Zartan.
Yeah, this is Zartan, which we would have shown it on the Collectors Club page, but since they won't let me post, we're going to show it from my page.
Don't be so jerky.
I'm a little sour about that. But anyways, the first thing that was noticed about this here, according to Club, is a pre-production sample. So they have this sample in hand to show us basically what it's going to look like.
In the final processes of these things, this would be called a production paint sample. This is what the manufactured figure will look like down to the detail that's painted on, the final colors, everything. This is, you can say this may change, but that's not going to change. That's going to be exactly what you see there,
unless they forget some paint apps somewhere.
Yeah.
Well, no, because by the time they're at this point, they've already gone through all of that. There's no paint. There's no missing paint apps unless it's just missed on one part. So, put the build photograph back up if you can, Mike.
Which one?
The Zartan. If a lot of people have commented on it, I wanted to clarify. The original figure build for this guy that was shown at the con, he was supposed to have the knees and lower legs from Resolute/Renegade Snake Eyes. Which were similar in design but a bit skinnier. As I understand it, there was a fit problem and they swapped them out, obviously for the easy thing there with the roadblock ones. However, that is going to give if you notice, there's no straight on pictures of the figure in any of those images. They're all isometric or oblique, or he's on a motorcycle, whatever. And that's because it's going to make the lower legs look a little big compared to the thighs.
There you go.
Yeah, that's the best image you've got. And you can see they look a little balloony. His feet look a little big, but
they look baggy right there.
Yeah, they do. And I think given the short timetable to address QC issues with the build and stuff, that's still a reasonable use. It wouldn't be my first choice, but then the club, even though they've done some interesting Frankensteins and stuff, they're not what I'm going to call quote unquote customizers. So this is good. It's not quite as good as what it was originally shown to be, but still reasonable. So just for you guys that were wondering, that was what the change is. That's why they look a little bit different. I personally think that the bike is a gigantic missed opportunity, and I'm going to go on saying this. If you're going to give us the Doom Cycle, which I like because it's different and unique and only been used once before. If you're going to give us a Doom Cycle, why is that not in the color of the Dreadnought Trike? That is a huge missed opportunity. An even bigger missed opportunity would have been doing the Ram in the Dreadnought exclusive colors to match the pre-existing vamp that we got recently. But barring that, why is this trike not in the old classic Dreadnought Trike colors? I think that would have been a great homage and a great use of that piece with a specific coloration that would have drove the homage home even closer. So, oops.
Now,
Go ahead.
no, I was going to say when I do purchase this,
Mhm.
the only reason I am purchasing it is for the figure alone, even though I don't have none of the other Ninja Force
Mhm.
figures. The Zartan just looks really badass.
I agree.
Yeah.
The image that you just showed there are two. If it was me making this custom at home, there are two color points I would have added to it to really make it pop a bit more. If you post that image again, Mike.
Right there.
Okay. Think about it this way. Okay, the original figure had neon green, orange, and black as the three primary colors. Do the inside collar in green around the neck, and then do the inside of the lapel on the jacket in silver or in orange, and then hit those buttons with silver like you've done on the zipper down the front. You do that, you have a truly outstanding figure.
Yeah.
This is good. I'm not knocking it at all. I think it's a great figure and an excellent representation. I just think it was this close to being just that much better.
Me personally, I don't care for the bike at all on this one. But I mean,
I can understand that. Yeah, it's very.
I mean, the figure will go strictly in the case as the figure without the bike. The bike will be put away.
In speaking about the little paint details on the torso that could have been picked out, if you look at the wraps, especially in that last picture you showed, Mike, where he's sitting on the bike.
Yeah.
Look at the wraps. You can see that they painted the strapping around the wraps, the piping, the little flechettes on the left arm. Those are all picked out and paint apps. I mean, just imagine that little bit extra detail added to the torso as well, and what that would have done to elevate this figure from good to outstanding.
Why is it that we had to wait till the very end of the club for them to actually do something half-ass decent? Seriously,
I think that that's,
to go out with a bang. Hey,
I think that's subjective. I think that that's strictly subjective. I mean, everybody has their. I'm not knocking that for you personally, Mike. So don't take it the wrong way. When it comes to these kind of things, we all have our favorite characters, right? We all have characters and designs that resonated with us personally. And for me, my favorite Joe's Hit and Run and my favorite Cobra is the Interrogator. And I realize that's a little outside the wheelhouse of most Joe collectors because they prefer 82 through about 86. I like 87, 88, 89 just as well as I do the early years. And when you start talking about these guys like this, Zartan from Ninja Force, that's 93. That's way outside almost everybody's wheelhouse because it was in the Neon era. And you know how all those O-Ring guys love to blame the Neon era for the downfall of the brand they love and support, like America.
Just like Beast Wars for Transformers.
Yeah. Well, and if you look at it in retrospect, Beast Wars is some of the most popular stuff. I love that build right there where they swap the knees out for a plain knee and use the existing Snake Eyes stuff there.
I wanted to show this. One of Ian here, he had posted this on the group. I guess he could bash his figures to what Zartan's look like. So I'm kind of thinking maybe that he's done this to where he doesn't have to spend the $90 with the club. He's going to paint his own figure and he's done.
Who knows?
But I mean, this is what it originally was supposed to be right here.
Yeah, from the knees that he used there are not the armored knee pads that was originally going to come with. However, from the lower knee joint down, that's the legs it was supposed to originally have. If you look at the images from the convention and such, so
but this is what we're
this is what we're getting. And if you look at that, where the thighs are black and the lower legs are black, and then you have an off-colored knee pad, that color break in there helps sell that as more viable because you got black, gray in the center. So you have something visually to break it up in your eye so that it doesn't look so skinny, fat.
Right.
So, I think with the club version that we're getting, if they'd have thrown a paint hit on that knee pad, it probably would have helped out. But they didn't, and that's what we have. So, wow, that 3-pack, waste of space. I know there's a lot of people that are going to be up in their kitchen on that one. They're like, "Whoa, give me some more girls!" But wow,
this here's I mean, I don't think there's the only web gear difference and weapons from the blue.
No, they're exactly the same as the blue ones from
So, like I said here, who's ready for some overpriced repaints? This is what you're going to get, folks.
Well, when they built that figure originally, the blue release, they used the upper torso from Pythona, which was sculpted unique for that figure, on these to make the female trooper that you see here. The problem with the build on that figure to begin with, when these were blue originally, the helmets don't fit. It doesn't matter what they have in that picture. I don't know what they did to get them to fit down on there, but they don't fit. The shoulder harness is way too loose. It flops around on the torso. And the belt, you can see how the belt is up in the midriff on every one of those figures. It doesn't stay down on the hips like it's supposed to unless you heat it up, pull it down, and stretch it. And then eventually it's going to break because it's on something that's way too big. So I just thought these builds, even though they're kind of fanboy oriented, I got some badass girl troopers. They could have been something better.
These here will probably, I think these might be a little bit what we would call the shelf warmer of it, because the blue ones are still in the club store.
Yeah.
So the club ones in the store, I think, are like $69. That sound about right?
65.
So I can see it be a $10 hike. Someone even posted somewhere, I think it was over on Hiss, that I wouldn't be surprised if these are $100. And there's no tell.
There's
just be honest.
If the blue versions of these same troopers are still sitting in the store, I think it would be a giant miscalculation to jack the price up on these that much. I can understand raising the price a little bit because obviously this is going to be a much lower print run than the blue ones were. It'll be made to order. I guarantee you it'll be made to order plus a very small percentage over.
And that's what a lot of this is going to, when you start talking about runs, the lower the run, the higher the product.
Yeah, the higher the individual product cost. Yeah, that's one of the things that hurt us in the Kickstarter was unless our Kickstarter performed at some astronomical amount that's reserved for people like Four Horsemen and shit where they make $500,000, there was no way to do a full production run of the things that we wanted. Now, our factory, which is the same factory that Boss Fight and Marauder Task Force use, has an MOQ of 300 or 3,000 pieces per SKU, per individual figure. So we obviously did not feel like we needed 3,000 of each unit. 2,000, yes. 3,000, no. We were able to go in with the factory and add some things that gave us some leverage and get our numbers down. But in most cases, that's not going to happen. So in this particular circumstance, because they have a contract with Hasbro and Hasbro factories and such, I'd assume they have a little bit of leverage. But it still applies that the lower you get, the lower that you get under the factory's MOQ number, whether it's 10,000, 5,000, 3,000, your price goes up exponentially. And you can consider it kind of a penalty, as it was explained to me originally. Your MOQ is 3,000. I want 2,000. That's going to make each of your figures have a penalty price of another $1.75 more in manufacturing. Now, that doesn't sound like a lot, but you spread that across 2,000 pieces or 10,000 pieces, and oh my God, now you're talking about a shitload of money. So,
sure.
That's an example price. That's not something that's specific to any one thing. It's just for simple math, by the way.
And according to the club, mid-November, we'll see some pre-orders go, which means basically give your money away, not see anything for at least 4 to 6 weeks later, probably.
I would say maybe a little longer than that even. Like I said, given the way timing works for this stuff, I wouldn't expect these to necessarily, unless they're being manufactured now without having end numbers, which I don't see that being a wise decision. Unless they're being manufactured now, I wouldn't look for these until March, April of next year after the factories come back. Yeah. That's the realist in me speaking. I don't have any inside information other than what our experience has been. So, and
that kind of really stinks, knowing that you got to drop that kind of money around the holiday season, not see no product.
Well, just let me throw this out there. I'm going to want at least one extra Tiger Force hit and run. So if you got one you don't want, yep.
Well, me personally, I'm going to be looking for someone to fund me for everything. So if anyone wants to fund me and put me on a payment plan, you all hit me up.
To pay for mine, I'm about to auction off a really rare old Magic the Gathering card that I've had for a really long time. When I bought it, it was $120 quite some time ago. It sells between 800 and 1,000 now, so that's how I'm paying for my shit.
Yeah.
Good Lord. Okay.
So if any of you fools want a really nice like C8 condition Yuzam Djinn, you hit me up.
All right. Well, we're going to switch gears from bashing on the club to talking about this weekend at
customs.
CoilCon is going on right now this weekend, and Short Bus Customs is there set up, who I believe is part of the entourage for Joe Fest 2019, or he's actually producing these. I'm not for sure how it's all going.
They're not really being produced; they're being customized, but still.
Well, yeah, customized is what I meant. I'm sorry. But
when you're talking about this, let me ask you personally a question. And I hate to do this on the air. I wanted to do it privately, but I'll do it on the air.
Sure,
how do you feel about these customized things? Not this in particular or this person in particular, but these customized things where somebody rounds up 10 of something, does a custom paint job on it, and then puts it on their table and sells it as an unofficial convention item. How do you feel about that?
Me personally, I kind of like it because it gives it a little uniqueness. Take, for example, I'll mention this. Roman Collectibles did I call it the piss tank from JoeCon this year. And granted, I mean, it was 10, I believe, is what it was.
Yeah.
And, the first 10 people in line got, which me and Rick were both one of them. Even though Rick didn't go collect his wife went to go get his.
Strategy.
While Rick went to go shop somewhere else.
I'll tell you, I went straight to Chris Neal's table. And
I wasn't going to say
strategy.
Anyways, I kind of like it to a degree. There's sometimes I wish I went to Joe Fest last year and I got in a Billy. Didn't happen. I wish I'd go to Duffman's show out in Southern California for the figures he does. I can't afford to go out there, but those figures are limited to run to I want to say he was in the teens or maybe 30-something figures I think they made. And they sold out within a few hours, but I mean, they go for crazy amounts of money on the secondary market, which is crazy.
I wondered what opinions were on something like, we do a booth exclusive every year, or have, pretty much since like 2006. And it's usually a fully cast figure, packaging and such. And it varies from year to year how people receive things, whether there's any interest in it or not. And I just wondered how people felt about this, let's take in, for instance, this particular piece we're looking at on screen right now. They've taken a vintage vehicle and basically done a nice paint job and a couple of custom stickers. I'm not knocking the work. I don't want you to think that. I'm not pissing on Short Bus Customs or anything like that. I'm using it simply as an example. And whether you felt like this had the same credence as an actual official custom piece. So.
I think it's a nice. What I liked when I got home, and this is why I wanted it to begin with, was it's a nice background element for the shelf. That if I want to put a JoeCon Battle in a Box on that shelf and have it, it makes for a nice background element. For me, that's what I liked about it, and I didn't have to do any work other than have my wife stand in one.
Have a wallet.
Yeah, exactly.
And just so everyone knows, Short Bus Customs, I would piss on him if he asked. Just saying that.
I don't. That's Matthew Bernica, right?
I love.
Okay, yeah.
I love messing.
I
don't back and forth with him all the time.
I don't know him. I don't know him at all personally. So this is, like I said, this is not a knock on him or anything. I wanted to get some insight from somebody who's not necessarily hardcore Joe guys.
I would like to see it up to 20, but that's just to so
right.
I think people were starting to kind of, when you have something that exclusive, and the lines at JoeCon this year were crazy anyway. There were multiple people getting kind of upset here and there. I felt like we were on the verge of fights a few times. But
you're right. I think you're right. But your old lady turned around. She's like, "Oh yeah, shut your ass up."
She'll
Well,
she'll pop you in the mouth. I'm not gonna lie. She will tear you up. She's a firecracker.
On a personal note, for these kind of things, when I go to buy something from somebody else, and I try to do this when I create something to put in the booth or to do as a class exclusive or something, I want to see some real creativity and maybe some uniquely generated parts on these things.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Well, you know, with regards to some of the things that we've seen, again, I'm not singling out anyone in particular.
Yeah.
You know, these are simple repaints with nothing new other than a really nice paint job. So to me, that's another custom thing. And G.I. Joe community has a very perverse relationship with customs in general. You have these people who are well thought of in the customizing community and are considered very skilled at their craft, but when it comes time for people to actually pay for something, they don't want it. You know, exactly. it's a custom. It's only $10. Well, right. it's $150 piece of work or whatever. I mean, the prices that I sell some of my things for, I think they're worth a lot more. Now, the price that I sell for is what I think the market will bear because I'm not trying to take it home. But
exactly,
you know, for my personal look out, what I'm checking out, what I want, what appeals to me. I want something that is unique, has a lot of originality, and great execution. So, again, like I said, that's not intended to run down anybody else's work. You know, I said things before in the past, 15 or 20 years ago, that were taken the wrong way or taken out of context, and it hurt a lot of feelings. And I'm not trying to do that now. So, go ahead.
No, you go ahead and finish. I'm sorry.
Oh, I was just tying it up. It's fine.
This one here, I can't see. I didn't ask Matt what exactly this was. All I can see is it says BOA.
Mm-hmm.
So is this like a young version of
it's an entire Marauder Task Force Valkyrized figure and accessories with either cast or production Hasbro gloves and head from Big Boa.
Okay, that I didn't know. That's why I was trying to figure out. I was like, I didn't. The reason I say is because the arms are so small. I'm like, is this like
no?
That's a female. Is this Boa before it became the big? Oh, it's female.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so
I don't even have to blow it up. I can tell it's a Val's figure.
Okay.
Task Force.
And again, all these, according to Matt, we're going to be limited to 10 each. And Ed did say, I think it was on my Instagram page, that there was more to come.
Yeah, so, I'll go ahead and spill some beans for us.
Okay.
Our booth exclusive this year is going to be an O-ring Space Skeletron from Action Force. It'll be a Skeletron head on an astronaut body with removable helmet done in the basic colors. It's going to have a box and artwork.
Oh, man.
I want that too. How do I get that?
Well,
I only have one wife. Right now, I currently only have one wife.
Well, I would not ordinarily do an O-ring custom because that market is so small. I've done them in the past, and I'm still carrying around parts and pieces because people will say, "Oh, I want this O-ring, this, or want over this O-ring and that." But those are the very worst in the community about paying the value of something. Yeah. And actually paying for something when it's done.
Right.
So I don't mean that as a knock. That is a truism of that community.
Yeah. You keep this up, Rick. You're gonna have 0 wives.
Yeah, you keep planning like this, and your wife is gonna leave you, man.
A lot of choice.
So the reason for doing an O-ring is because it seems like the crowd at Joe Fest, at least last year during their inaugural year, was very fired up by the O-ring stuff, and there is absolutely no venue for it other than the bootleg stuff coming out of China. So I thought, this is an opportunity to do something fun. It's an easy thing for me to do personally because it's all one material. It's all hard. I've got somebody who does the rivets for me, so I don't have to do that part. A few simple paint apps, nice graphic on a box, boom, there you go. And because it's all one material and there's not so much trouble in the assembly, it's a lower price point. Win, win, win.
This here, John, do you have an idea? I mean, I didn't get clarification on this. I ain't got the
Wolverine that you're talking about. Wolverine you're looking at there.
Yeah.
I wonder something about these particular vehicles that we're seeing here, and all I've seen is the photographs. I don't know anything about them other than what I see with my eyes here. On the Ice Wolf, it looked as if the orange-red pieces, which are a very particular color, fluorescent red-orange, were cast. This looks like they might actually be painted. Do you know anything about that, Mike, at all from your discussions with?
I haven't really talked to Ed or Matt. Matt set up a course at Colicon this weekend.
Yeah.
So I know he chimed in back at me, let me know that there was only 2 of these made.
Yeah. Well, I would hope so. I mean, you could spend an entire year if you were doing 40 of them. You know.
Hold on a second. Go ahead. I just.
It's the other arrow, Mike. The other arrow. No, not that one. I wondered. Yeah, Look, no, you're fine. I was messing with you, dude. The Night Force colored accessories on those, I wonder if those are cast. If they're painted, you run into the same trouble you do with other customs. They're painted. You try to manipulate them, do anything with them, and you're gonna get paint rub. Now, obviously, since these are presented as custom, a limited number of 10 custom pieces, they probably are painted. The Arctic, the hiss that you just showed, the Destro's, the Iron Grenadier hiss that you just showed.
Yeah.
Obviously, that is one of the blue ones with the red canopy from the 50th anniversary set that's been painted. It's obvious.
This one here, if you look at the figure, that is a modern Snow Serpent.
Yeah.
And to my understanding, when you did the registration for Joe Fest, there were 2 different packages, one for an O-ring, one for a modern. So I want to go on a limb here and say this is the modern figure that they're doing. Maybe I don't know.
Well, my question again is this figure cast? Because I know what it takes to do a cast modern figure. I've done 300 of them. 300 different characters. And the problem with doing modern cast figures is unless you have somebody in front of you and you can show them how to handle this, because they're like little pieces of glass.
Right.
They're going to break it.
It's kind of like when we did the custom class this year.
Exactly.
And I changed out that hip joint. Is that what it was?
Yeah, you pop the ball. Yeah.
I didn't want to use the one you gave us. I wanted to use the one that was inside my figure because of just so that didn't happen is the reason.
Yeah. Well, in selling custom cast modern figures for such a long time, usually there's 5 or 10% resculpted or fully customized items that go on these things, and the rest of it is factory parts that are made to fit together. Because as we all know, all factory parts are not universal; they don't necessarily fit with one another. And even though I use the best resin I can get for these things, it still has that shortfall of not being handled well. So it would be nice to get some clarification on these figures as to whether they're dyed Hasbro samples or resin cast figures or a combination of that, before you go dropping them a lot of money on it. Because whatever the price is for this, and I'm sure he's charging what he feels is worth, whatever the price is on this, if that's a cast Snow Serpent, a lot of people are going to be mad when they break stuff.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So I'm hoping I'm going to reach out to Matt and see if
get some clarification. Let's try to help. If he's going to push these, and that's going to be a major feature of this show, let's try to get the right information out there so people will understand. I don't have any problem with anybody doing something like this as long as it's well executed. So let's try to help.
Trying to see if there's anything else I need to show off these pages before I come out the screen share.
Yeah, you Facebook whore.
Yeah, I am. That's what gets me in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
That's okay. I don't care.
You know what your problem is?
What's up?
You care too much.
I don't care about jack shit.
Why you gotta be so hard?
Yeah. I got a text from Bobby, who I think is going to chime in here in just a little bit.
Oh, sweet.
I was wanting to talk to him about his projects that were released from New York Comic Con. They showed some inbox images of
the Professor Xavier and stuff. Yeah,
Xavier and Deadpool and Scooter, which I didn't know about that till I saw really that. and that's something else I'd be really interested in getting. Even the Xavier, I think I'd be really interested in because of the
The execution of the chair, the suit body for customs, all that. Yeah, it's just a good all around thing.
yeah, and then of course Deadpool just scooter. I think it's hilarious. So, give me a second here.
It's all right. I'm answering a question about some casters and parts.
I guess we'll talk about before Bobby gets on here. Hasbro. Well, I didn't read the whole article. I guess there was a quarterly loss. Is that what the problem was? I guess
I didn't read through the entire article, so I don't have all the particulars, and I don't want to give incorrect information if I can help it.
All right. Well, I'm all about incorrect information, so no, I was kidding. So
speaking of incorrect information, is this really going to be the last Little Rock Comic Con, Mike?
Oh gosh, you would bring that up?
Yeah, I do. It makes me sad. Makes me sad.
It is.
I went last year and had a good time, and it was a pretty all right show. And we're going to go back and do this year, obviously. And
you came for a good show, got to see almost a fight and everything.
Hey, you know what? I didn't bring that up. You did. Dude, that guy earned it.
He did. He did earn it. He pissed me off. But yeah, we're gonna call it quits after this year.
That's a shame. I mean, I understand the reality of the situation. Just we'll let you know. It sucks.
Yeah, there was I'm not for sure on the. Let me go to a trustworthy fan news site that can give me all the information.
Who might that be?
Shish tank. Oh, here's something that just blows my mind that I did read about was this new Snake Eyes movie that we're going to get that is following the footsteps of the Bruce Lee era, which is going to be our next G.I. Joe movie. So
this is a rumor, though. This isn't confirmed now. Is it? It's still a rumor.
No, this is confirmed.
Asterisk bullshit asterisk.
Okay, yeah.
Caps, all caps.
Yeah.
No, I'm reading on a replified news site here. This is got to be on the internet.
Don't know. I do not care what that's from, where it's from.
Right.
If there was any corporate willpower at all, whatsoever, and this is just using step-by-step logic. If there's any corporate willpower whatsoever to forge ahead with G.I. Joe as a brand and sink money into a movie, do you think they would have just gutted their staff?
No, I don't have enough information to answer that question. I think it's a great question. I don't have enough information about this new management from the last few years. I still feel like we're in the dark a whole lot about things that happened.
I also read an article, I believe it was yesterday or the night before while we were at dinner, an interview with Ray Park that somebody had done while they were at the convention getting something signed and so forth and so on. And they talked about that. Ray has not been contacted about that at all whatsoever. He's like, oh, that's news to me, that kind of thing. He's like, oh, yeah, I'd love to. He said, I've written letters and asked to play the part again and all that. He said, but no, I haven't heard anything about it. So if the star from the last movies who did a great job playing a character that doesn't talk,
right?
One of the high points of both movies,
right?
If that guy hasn't been contacted yet, at least as a first step in finding whoever's going to play the role.
Yeah.
Like I said, asterisk, all caps, bullshit, asterisk. I lay no credence.
The only thing that made sense logically for that rumor, and it is a rumor, the only thing that made sense to me is looking at how they're handling Transformers and pulling out Bumblebee and going back and trying to do something with a popular character. Yeah, exactly. That's the one thing that made sense to me is that that formula that they're trying to reboot that with.
Well, if you want to take the formula that Marvel used by doing several single characters and then combining them into the Avengers and stuff and turn that on its ear and try to go the other way with it. okay, I can see that as a possibility, but like I said, no corporate willpower whatsoever to keep G.I. Joe in the public eye or make it a viable, ongoing concern. And there hasn't been for several years for a multitude of reasons.
Yep.
And understand, every critic of G.I. Joe, or everybody who has been in a position to affect the brand, almost without exception, has said somewhere publicly that when G.I. Joe returns, it will be in a new iteration. Not the characters that we know. So why do a standalone with Snake Eyes? It just doesn't. It's not ticking any of the boxes for me personally. I don't know anything, but you know, as a fan of the brand, you know, since I was born in 1968, I grew up playing up with 12-inch Joes. You know, I just don't see how any of the dots connect. Now, that's not to say that might not be true, because stranger things have happened.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
And when you involve Hollywood in the process, there's no telling where you're going to end up. No telling. But it just doesn't. None of the dots connect really. Now, I hope that I'm wrong. I want to see a Snake Eyes movie. I think it'd be cool as shit.
Yeah.
But especially if his co-star and sidekick is Hit and Run, that would be awesome. Every time Snake Eyes does sign language to communicate, Snake Eyes Hit and Run to translate for him. That's the reason to have him in the movie.
Yeah, but take what you want and then give it to DreamWorks, and Hit and Run will be the wolf. Okay, I'm just putting that out there.
Boy, oh my God, you're right. You're right. Why?
Yep.
So let's hope that if it does happen, and I really don't like raining piss down on people's heads and telling them it's sunshine, but let's hope that if it does happen, it's a success, because as a fan of G.I. Joe as a brand and an ongoing concern and a legacy in American culture, I want to see a solid success, not just something where they say it made $300 million overseas, so it was a good deal.
Yeah, I want to see kids get excited about it as a whole. Yeah. Like right now, when we have birthday parties and I give my kid a G.I. Joe toy, I watch the other kids come over and look at the back of the box and try to learn about what it is.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I would like to see, even if I'm not happy, I would like to see all the boys in his class want to be G.I. Joe characters for Halloween.
That'd be cool.
If we could get back to that point, where where the kids are excited about the brand, I'd be happy with that.
It's sadly not ever going to be as it was when we were growing up, because creative play is something much different these days than what it was when we were kids. And if you can find a way to make G.I. Joe relevant in the new childhood paradigm, if you want to call it that, a way of bringing children up and how they play, their play patterns, then you'll have a success. But it's finding that particular step and getting it there. And by the way, that hurt a whole hell of a lot when I shrugged both shoulders a few minutes ago, because I forgot not to move my left fucking arm.
It's so funny how y'all are talking about how kids and toys and everything. If you want kids to get into something, buy them a pop.
You shut your filthy whore mouth.
Yeah, I'm just gonna. I like Mike too much to even pay attention to that comment. I'm just gonna pretend he didn't even say it. I'm gonna look at his G.I. Joe and his WWE and his Transformers and remember Mike like that.
I'm gonna mail a box of pops to your house, Rick, for Zane.
It'll be all the crappy ones too. Not even the cool ones like Blueberry and Count Chocula.
If you do, I do want the gargoyles, but I would never pay money for it. I have a problem with it. I love gargoyles, and there's nobody making gargoyle stuff, and I saw that they made them. I wouldn't buy them for myself, but if someone gave them to me, I'd be like ecstatic, especially Hudson, because he's the old guy. I relate to Hudson the most.
That's funny, because my best friend and I, we've been friends over 20 years, and we have a policy for birthdays and Christmases that we only buy stuff for one another that, like, say, there's something I really, really want, but I will not spend the money to buy it he'll buy it and give it to me as a birthday or Christmas present. That's actually how I started collecting modern Transformers so many years ago. I didn't care about Transformers at all. I wouldn't wipe my butt with them if I just took a deuce, you know.
Listen to this guy.
Yeah. But you know, I saw a figure that I liked, and I said, "Hey, man, that's pretty cool." And then he brought his over. I'm like, "Oh, that is really nice. It makes a great figure." For me, I don't give a crap about the transformations or what it turns into. It's got to be a good-looking action figure.
Yeah.
Action Masters was where I fell in.
Yeah.
So that's how that started, and that's how I learned what I know about modern Transformers, which is not a lot, admittedly, but more than I ever wanted to. So, regarding Pops, Mike, you know, I'm being a bit hypocritical. I have 6.
Uh-oh.
The last thing I bought was the new WWE Slaughter, so I'd have it for Joe Fest next year to get signed.
Yeah, that's understandable. What about the other 5?
Wolverine, Snake Eyes, and I forget who else. I'm a Wolverine homer. I can't help it. I like Wolverine. Don't care. Not ashamed. It's like those Star Wars people that love Boba Fett. They know they're Poochie.
Yeah, I do have one pop. I've told Mike before. I have Ahsoka. It was like a Hot Topic exclusive from the Clone Wars.
But you wanted the Lost Boys.
I wanted David from the Lost Boys. Yes, I like Kiefer Sutherland.
Speaking of David from the Lost Boys, while we're waiting on Bobby, check out the latest video from the synth rock band from the UK, Gunship. It's called Dark All Day.
All right.
Check it out. It's all animated. It concerns vampires, and that's where I'll leave the involvement of David.
That's cool.
Dude, it's awesome. I know that was a way aside.
I will look that up.
Yes, you should. You're going to love it. You're really going to love it.
Yeah.
Mike, I see you're reading something. Is it text? Is it bad news?
No. I'm still waiting on Bobby.
Okay.
Actually, Short Bus Customs had commented on what Rick had said on my Instagram.
Sure.
So I was commenting on him saying, "Hey, basically, you need to get your ass on the show right now. We're talking shit about your stuff."
I'm not talking shit, but we definitely have questions.
I didn't mean to say talking shit. We're talking about your shit. That's what I meant to say.
Oh, okay.
We can get clarification on some of that.
Well,
like I said, is QualCon a 1-day or 2-day thing?
Honestly, I don't know. I've never been able to go. It's too far for me to travel. I would not want to haul my inventory that far across the country. I mean, it's bad enough I had to go to Orlando twice. That was ridiculous.
Well, you did Joe Atlanta, but you didn't do Too Hot the last time.
No, I won't be going back to Joe Atlanta for a multitude of reasons. I had it originally intended to do this year, or this coming year, 2019. But honestly, and again, this is my personal opinion, Joe Atlanta just didn't seem like a show for me. I don't like the vibe. I don't like the way they have their stuff set up. As a vendor, I don't dig it. I don't really like how they treat a lot of their long-term vendors in terms of the way the floor flows and stuff like that. The venue, while the people are great and the hotel was really nice, and all of the service was good, the place is too small by 3 times. It is incredibly outgrown its venue, and the cost was not a good return. You know, my hotel room was $600 or whatever it was, and by the time I paid all my costs and came home, I made about $350, which for a 13-hour drive each way, not worth it at all.
No, not at all.
So
not worth it.
I enjoyed the trip, and it was nice to see Atlanta. I hadn't been out there since 2007, and like I said, the hotel's really nice. The room was great. The all of the service was great. You know, everybody that I talked to was all right, but it just doesn't seem like a good show for me, so I'm not going back. I'll give Augusta a whirl for Joe Fest. I'm looking forward to that. It seems like the organizers for Joe Fest are much more aligned in terms of their collecting goals with my own personal collecting goals. I didn't really get that from the showrunners at Joe Lanta, or now Toy Lanta. There were some good deals there to be had. There was good shopping, but I'm going to go ahead and step outside the box. I don't expect to do this show again. I'm going to go ahead and step out and say some more particular things.
Okay.
The showroom, the large convention area in Joe Lanta, is where most of the long-term vendors are set up. Okay, as it is with most shows. The guys that come in later, the ones that get the little side rooms off to the side. Rather than direct the flow of traffic into that large room first, where your longtime vendors and supporters are, they directed down a long hallway where there are 3 or 4 other rooms, small rooms, that people are going to hit first. So by the time they get to the large floor, where the biggest long-term vendors are, they're not taken care of well. Their money's already spent.
Yeah.
And
here we're going.
It didn't have to be that way, but that is the way they chose to do it. And I want somebody as a show organizer, showrunner, who is going to be concerned with making sure that I, as a vendor, when I do a show, am able to secure, or at least have the chance at a good return. And it was obvious to me that was not a concern. I think that the showrunners there are still too focused on 12-inch G.I. Joe and all that brings, when that is a microscopic amount of the marketplace today.
Yeah.
I don't ever want to see 12-inch Joe die, because it has a special place in my heart.
Yep.
But that is not my collecting focus. And to see their impetus focused on something that is such a small percentage of the marketplace shows a very bad lack of clarity on the subject. If you are going to go to the trouble to rebrand your show from Joe Lanta, which is Joe-centric, to Toy Lanta, which is all collectibles, then you should be reflecting that in everything that you do and all the decisions that you make. And it was apparent to me that that's not necessarily the case here. Now, I don't want to make anybody think that it's not a show worth going to. As a customer, if I was 2 hours away, I would absolutely go to that show. But traveling halfway across the country to get there, no, not by half. And that's not just because I live in Dallas, where there's great shows all the time. It's just because, it just wasn't worth the trouble to go and see the newest Marvel Legends and the newest Star Wars and whatever the newest other thing was.
I think just about every month is every other week, or like every week almost, is a show in Dallas, isn't there?
Yeah, of some sort, yeah, some sort and some scale, yeah, pretty much. There is something always going on. It might just be a swap at a local store or something like that, but there is a place to get out and go see stuff if you want to. Now, that has the bad effect of making people lose urgency, because if you only have 1 or 2 big shows a year, like say up in Benton, if you only had 1 or 2 big shows a year, then it becomes really important to make sure that you get out there and you go to that show. So you have people walking through the door to pay attendance, and they're walking in to spend money with your vendors, so everybody's happy. And you don't build a good show by just word of mouth, or by having the best exclusives, or by this gadget or that gadget. You build a good show by having good vendors or to the clientele that walk in the door. That's why you see so many shows these days have shifted their focus from action figures and comic books to pops, to Japanese collectibles, to cosplay, to leatherwork, to knockoff swords, to airsoft guns. They're trying to get everything in to get as many people as possible in the door. So
I straight up hit the wrong button.
Yeah, I saw that. You hung up, fool.
I did. I think I read the message wrong. I don't think Bobby's going to make it.
That's fine.
But I do want to see here. Where was it?
I was looking forward to talking to Bobby.
Oh, here we go. Hold on a second. Let's see.
Yeah, he's not coming.
What I was talking about Hasbro, this article here, which is a very legitimate news source, Hasbro to cut job grappling with Toys R Us fallout and sales decline. It sounds like sales decline is going to fall under with the Toys R Us.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's to be
so it's hurting
expected.
everybody, of course. Now here's what I find a little shitty is how now Toys R Us doesn't want to say, oh, you know what, we've changed our mind. We're going to rebrand it and call it Jeffrey's Toy Box and come
Well,
back. So I mean, I haven't read anything on this except for what I saw what Chris did. But I mean, I don't know nothing of what's going on.
well, I mean, not we're not ever going to know corporate particulars or corporate decision making, but I think that the investment group that has control over Toys R Us and their IP now, is they sense an opportunity to step back into the marketplace, strictly driven on nostalgia. So there's like any other time, they're seeing a buck to be made and want to try to jump in and grab it.
That's kind of sad in a way because
it is. It's all profit motive.
They've screwed other companies over now by filing the bankruptcy. Now these people who have given them the product are losing the money on that product, and then that hurts their bottom dollar in the long run. And it will do a trickle effect that will flow downhill.
Well, what my concern is now, if you have it returned as Jeffrey's Toy Box in some kind of a new format, whether it be kiosk stores or subsets of another store or whatever, kind of like they did with the FAO sports brand for a while. That was a subsection in their store. What vendor in their right mind is going to float them credit and give them product?
Oh, absolutely. That's a COD account now, buddy.
Yeah, and I'm sure that the people in the business that have control over the IP, they understand that. I mean, they're business people and they understand that business is business and that's the way things go. But you've already had all of this fallout before you've even gotten to the full holiday season where, okay, Hasbro's laying off a percentage of their workforce. And I'm certain it's not the first round of layoffs that's going to happen. You add to that what's going to happen to the workforce here in America for Mattel when they finally pull the plug on that. And they're gonna. Don't kid yourself. Yeah. Jakks Pacific is the third biggest toy manufacturer in the United States. They're going to get hit. The only people that this is good for is boutique manufacturers like me, like Boss Fight, like Marauder Task Force. We're going to do okay because their absence in the marketplace. Actually, it's an exciting time to decide how things are going to be handled. The only downside is the possible fallout from tariff problems and stuff like that because we've got an idiot pulling shit levers in the fucking White House. Pardon my language, and I hope that doesn't offend any of you. Sorry, not sorry. That's the potential fallout from that as it concerns boutique businesses is pretty severe. But other than that, it's a pretty rosy looking situation going forward, simply because of the absence of other places in the marketplace, the absence of other vendors in the marketplace. So, with regards to Toys R Us coming back as Jeffrey's Toy Box, the appearance is shady. Okay, you declared bankruptcy as Toys R Us, and you're going to come back banking on that same IP, but you're going to be clever enough to change the name and make it a little cutesy. That doesn't play with the adult collector. Now, kids aren't going to care.
Nope.
They're there to buy whatever they're there to buy anyway. It doesn't matter. And grandma and grandpa certainly aren't going to give two pinches of crap. But with collectors, you can say goodbye to their trust, if not their dollar bills right now. Now, collectors are whores. Whoever's got what we want, we'll go see them, whether we like them or don't.
Yeah,
that is the end of that. But you can't, as a functioning adult, you can't look at that and not see that is just shady.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. It's the original intention, and it's a business. I get that. Mm-hmm. But the idea of the product and the imagination of kids is kind of like part of the intention of having that one place where you can go where it's just about them. That can't be lost on people. People have to feel that.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel good, that's for sure.
Well, there were so many people when Toys R Us was going through their final closing, operations and stuff. So many people that were talking about it on social media, and certainly it was a topic of the hour, and that brought a certain percentage of people to the conversation. But there were people like me who've been shopping there literally their entire lives. That our upbringing was formed by the experiences we had going to that store. And for me personally, it was a huge treat to get to go to Toys R Us. We lived even in my teenage years when I would go look for stuff, I lived in rural Oklahoma. The closest Toys R Us was over an hour away in Oklahoma City. So when I got to go, it was a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
As a younger kid, it was a little closer because we were still here in Dallas, but still, it was a huge deal to go and to be able to shop and have anything, So you take that experience away and you wrap it in some corporate ill will, and then you put it at the altar of the almighty dollar, and you come up with something that stinks to high heaven. So,
yeah,
I hope that there's a way to bring it back, and I hope that there's a way to recapture the magic, but I don't know if this is it. So.
Yeah.
Since Bobby's not going to come on, I guess we're going to go ahead and call. I think we've talked what we could about everything that I wanted to kind of touch bases on.
Mike needs a nap. Mike needs a nap.
No, it's dinner time and movie night, so I got the kids off.
What flavor of hamburger helper are you having tonight, Mike?
It's not hamburger helper tonight. It's chicken taco.
Hey, it's not Tuesday.
No, taco salad. Taco salad.
Oh, okay. Well, it's still not Tuesday. Tuesday tacos? Taco Tuesday?
No,
on a Saturday?
Taco Tuesday on a Saturday.
You rapscallion.
Yeah. We're well, yeah, my youngest, she thinks it's Taco Tuesday every day of the week. You'll ask her what she wants for dinner. She's like,
tacos,
Taco Bell, Taco Bell. Now, when we come back, yeah, that's what
why are you poisoning your daughter with that putrid bile?
She likes that. Anyways, we're coming down to Dallas in December.
Sweet.
For a show. So when we come down, you need to take us to that Poncho's place.
Well, okay. Let me go ahead and say publicly.
Don't say it closed down.
No, it's still open. I went there twice last week. I grew up eating ponchos. Okay, I love ponchos because it's a flavor from my youth. Okay, and it hasn't changed at all. That being said, ponchos is not good Tex-Mex. As an adult with a refined palate, I can look at it and say that.
See, you might say it's not good. You might say it's not good. We might love it.
Well, yeah, you are from Arkansas, so you've had limited exposure to real stuff. But I want to preface our upcoming trip to Poncho's by being honest with you about that. Okay.
Well, authentic Mexican in Arkansas is made by real Italians, just so you know. So, I was looking at the calendar. It is the 20th. We'll have our next show on November 3rd, then the 17th, and then December the 1st will be our 2-year show mark. And we'll be after that, we'll be off for the rest of the year. Fred has promised me he will be back in 2 weeks.
Bullshit.
He told me he was taking some shows off, and I don't recall that email. I guess he did send it. I didn't see it, or I don't remember it, or I don't want to remember it. I don't know what happened. But it's actually his fiance's birthday, and they were doing a cookout of some sort.
Dude, come on. Priorities.
Well, see, like I said before we went on the air, is that he's got to get all the cookout done before it starts snowing again up there.
Yeah.
Because it snows like crazy up there where he lives. But anyways, so yeah, we'll be back in 2 weeks, and we'll think of something else to talk in by then. Maybe by then we'll have an idea of when the club's going to throw up them pre-orders, or if we're still hanging in the dark on those, or
some prices.
Well, I would say that we should be seeing pictures pretty soon. If they're going to show them. I mean,
that'd be good.
Yeah.
So we're going to sign out. John, tell people where they can find you at if they want to. Talk to
you can find me on Facebook at any time by going to the Chicken Fried Toys space Dime Novel Legends Facebook page. I am constantly monitoring that as long as I'm near a device to answer questions and so forth and so on. So if you want to reach me, you can reach me there at just about any time. I'll look forward to seeing most of the same old crowd at Joe Fest this coming June, where I'll be hosting the customizing class again. Stay tuned for sneak peeks and pictures and stuff of the figure and what it's going to be and all that. That's the best teaser I can give you. So.
Okay. Rick, where they can find you at?
Yep, you can find me on Instagram. You can find me on Twitter as Shattered Glass Jazz.
And you all can find me pretty much everywhere as Just Another G.I. Joe Show. And Rick, you won't be on next week, will you?
I think next week I will not be on Cybercast or Galactic Gumbo if we were to do one.
Okay, well, I'll be on a Cybercast with Josh and whoever else, maybe Andrew, I guess. So we'll be back on here in 2 weeks. So until then, we will talk to you guys later.